Problem is that most people don't know how to listen. They're too busy talking over their own intuition, drowning in noise, rushing through life without noticing the messages meant for them. If you really want clarity, if you want real strength and direction, you have to slow down. You have to become quiet enough inside to hear what the world is trying to tell you. Because everything around you is giving you feedback. Your failures are not punishments, they are lessons, signposts pointing out that you're off course. Your successes are not accidents, are confirmations that you're aligned with something true. The people you meet, the situations you face, the patterns that repeat. These are all the universe's way of communicating. If you ignore them, you keep making the same mistakes. If you listen, you evolve. Listening is more than hearing words. It's paying attention to what feels right and what feels forced. It's noticing when your body is tense, when your gut warns you, when your heart is restless. Too often, people dismiss these signs. They silence their intuition with logic, with fear, with the comfort of routine. But the universe doesn't shout, whispers, and it only rewards those willing to be still enough to hear it. You want mental toughness. Learn to stop reacting mindlessly. Learn to pause and observe. When things go wrong, instead of blaming others or cursing your luck, ask, what am I meant to learn here? When something hurts, instead of running away or numbing yourself, ask, why does this hurt so much? What is it revealing about me? How you gain real power. Not by controlling everything outside of you, but by understanding what everything outside is showing you about what's inside. The universe will test you, will keep giving you the same lesson in different forms until you finally pay attention. The same kind of toxic relationship, the same type of setback, the same frustration. These aren't coincidences. They're invitations to change. The question is, will you ignore them and stay stuck, or will you finally listen and grow? Silence is your ally here. In silence, you can hear your own thoughts. Separate fear from truth. You can see your patterns without judgment. And in that clarity, you'll hear what you need to do next. Don't fill every moment with noise and distraction. Don't let the world's chaos drown out your own wisdom. Create space to listen. Life is not trying to destroy you. It's trying to guide you. Even your worst failures can be the universe's way of protecting you from a path that wasn't meant for you. Even pain can be a teacher showing you what needs to heal. But you have to be humble enough to listen. You have to be brave enough to change. Don't expect the universe to make things easy. Expect it to make things clear. If you pay attention, it will show you who truly cares for you. It will reveal who is using you. It will highlight where you're betraying yourself. It will illuminate the habits that are holding you back. But only if you're willing to look. Only if you're willing to listen. If you want real mental toughness, train yourself to see the lesson in everything. Don't dismiss discomfort. Don't run from failure. Don't ignore your intuition. Present enough to hear the quiet guidance that's always there. Because the truth is, you're never alone on this journey. You're always being guided. The question is, are you listening? You really want to understand what it means to live with clarity and purpose. You have to learn to listen. Not just to people, but to life itself. The universe is always speaking. The problem is not that there aren't signs, but that most of us are too distracted, too impatient, or too stubborn to hear them. We fill every moment with noise, with chatter, with worry and planning, and then we wonder why we feel lost or stuck. But there's a truth no one can escape. The answers you're looking for are always around you if you would only slow down and pay attention. Look at your life carefully. Every setback is a lesson. Every disappointment is feedback. Every conflict is a mirror. The universe doesn't punish you for no reason. It guides you through experience. You keep failing in the same way, that's not bad luck. That's a message you haven't heard yet. If you keep meeting the same kind of toxic person, that's not random. A lesson about your boundaries, your choices, your self-worth. Life will keep sending you the same lesson in different forms until you finally learn it. People don't listen because listening requires humility. It means admitting you don't know everything. It means accepting that your perspective might be wrong. It means letting go of blame and asking, what can I learn from this? And that's hard. It's easier to stay angry. It's easier to blame others. It's easier to distract yourself with work, entertainment, or even fake positivity instead of sitting with what's real. But if you want real mental toughness, you need to be willing to face reality without flinching. Listening to the universe means paying attention to the subtle signs. Your body is one of them. Anxiety, tension, exhaustion. These aren't just nuisances to be medicated or ignored. They're messages. Your body is telling you when something is wrong, when you're betraying yourself, when you need rest or change. But most people silence these messages. They push through the pain, numb it, or pretend it's not there. They think toughness is ignoring discomfort. But real toughness is facing it and asking, why is this here? What is it telling me? Your relationships are another form of guidance. Pay attention to how people make you feel. Notice who drains you and who nourishes you. Who respects your boundaries and who crosses them. Don't explain away disrespect. Don't ignore patterns just because you want to keep the peace. The universe is showing you who deserves a place in your life. If you don't listen, you'll keep inviting the wrong people in and pushing the right ones away. Silence is essential here. You can't hear subtle truths when your mind is full of noise. When you're constantly talking, planning, worrying, or consuming distraction, there's no space for wisdom to land. That's why you need quiet. Not just external quiet, but internal quiet. Moments where you sit with yourself and listen to what you really think and feel. It's in these moments that your intuition speaks. In these moments that you can finally hear what life has been trying to tell you all along. Listening isn't passive. It's one of the hardest, most active forms of discipline. It requires you to hold your ego in check, to stop defending yourself, to stop arguing with reality. It requires you to open your mind to the possibility that you don't have all the answers. And it demands courage because once you hear the truth, you have to act on it. Change is the price of wisdom. If you want to live powerfully, make a habit of asking yourself, what is life trying to teach me right now? What patterns keep repeating? What do I feel in my body that I'm ignoring? Who am I surrounding myself with, and why? What is my intuition whispering that I've been too scared to hear? The universe doesn't shout. It doesn't force you to listen. But it's always guiding you. Question is whether you're willing to stop talking over it, to quiet the noise, and to truly hear. Because once you start listening, you'll realize you were never lost at all. You just weren't paying attention. There is a voice that doesn't come from other people, or from books, or from the outside world. It's the quiet voice of life itself. Universe is always speaking through events, through people, through experiences, through emotions, but most people never hear it. Why? Because they don't stop long enough to listen. Constantly in motion, consumed by thought, by fear, by ego, or by noise. And when you're surrounded by chaos, you can't receive clarity. Mental toughness isn't just about pushing harder. Sometimes it's about stopping, becoming still, and simply listening. Listening to the universe isn't some mystical idea. It's about learning to pay attention. Every outcome, every disappointment, every delay, Every moment of discomfort, it's all feedback. Life is constantly showing you what works and what doesn't, what's true and what's not. But we miss these lessons when we rush, when we judge, when we complain. We call them problems when in reality, they are guidance in disguise. Your failures are trying to point you towards something better. Your pain is trying to protect you from staying stuck. But if you label everything as unfair or unlucky, you block the lesson. To really listen, you need to be brutally honest with yourself. That's hard, because it requires facing uncomfortable truths. It means admitting that maybe the reason a relationship keeps breaking isn't just them. It's your unhealed pattern. It means accepting that the job you hate isn't just draining you, it's teaching you to stop ignoring your purpose. It means realizing that your anxiety isn't random. It's screaming that you've been living out of alignment. But most people don't want to hear that. They want answers that are easy. But growth isn't easy, and truth doesn't always feel good at first. Still, it sets you free. The universe speaks through repetition. If something keeps showing up in your life, whether it's a type of person, a problem, or a feeling, that's not a coincidence. It's a pattern. And patterns are how the universe teaches us. The same doors will keep closing. The same warning signs will keep appearing. The same internal conflict will rise until you stop and ask yourself, what am I supposed to see here? What am I ignoring? What needs to change? The most powerful people aren't the loudest. They're the most tuned in. They walk into a room and notice what others miss. They sense energy. They pick up on tension. They read silence. They recognize when something feels off. Because they listen, not just with their ears, but with their awareness. They rarely get blindsided. They don't need to control everything because they trust what they feel. That's not weakness, mastery. To reach that level, you have to create space. Stillness isn't laziness. Silence isn't emptiness. It's in the silence that the answers rise. When you disconnect from the noise and the distractions, even for a few minutes a day, you give your inner voice a chance to speak. You begin to feel what's real. And that's when decisions become clear, when direction returns. That's when strength flows in, not because you forced it, but because you finally aligned with it. You don't need to have all the answers right now. You do need to stop ignoring the ones that are already being shown to you. You already know which habits are hurting you. You already know which people are draining you. You already know which path feels wrong. You already know what you've been postponing. But knowing isn't enough. You have to listen and then you have to act. The universe is never silent. It's always sending you signs. Through gut feelings, dreams, roadblocks, red flags, and even strange timing. Most people call them coincidences. But when you learn to listen, you realize nothing is random. Everything means something. Everything is shaping you. So be still. Pay attention. Trust what doesn't feel right. Follow what makes you feel alive. And when things don't go your way, don't panic. Ask, life trying to teach me here? Because once you start listening, life starts guiding. You don't need louder answers. You just need a quieter mind. That's how the universe speaks. And that's how you begin to hear. If you truly want to develop mental toughness, you have to learn one of the hardest skills there is, the ability to listen. Not just to people, not just to your own thoughts, but to life itself. Because the universe is always sending you messages. Every situation you face, every obstacle you meet, every feeling that rises up in you, these are all ways life is trying to talk to you. But most people are too busy, too distracted, or too stubborn to listen. They're so focused on talking, explaining, complaining, and controlling that they miss the subtle guidance that's always there. Think about the patterns that keep repeating in your life. Maybe you keep choosing partners who treat you badly. Maybe you always end up in jobs that drain you. Maybe you keep losing opportunities because of fear. Those aren't coincidences. They're lessons you haven't learned yet. Life will keep handing you the same exam until you pass it. That's not cruelty. That's guidance. But you have to be willing to see the pattern. You have to ask yourself, what is this trying to teach me? Listening to the universe means becoming humble enough to admit that you don't have all the answers. It means setting aside your ego long enough to ask, what can I learn from this? Instead of saying, this isn't fair, or this always happens to me. It means viewing failure not as punishment, but as feedback. Discomfort not as an inconvenience, as a teacher. When you approach life this way, even the hardest moments become opportunities for growth. But most people don't want to do that. They want to stay comfortable. They want answers that don't require change. They want to blame other people so they don't have to take responsibility. That's why they stay stuck. 'Cause listening to the universe means being willing to change. It means confronting the parts of yourself that you'd rather ignore. It means doing the hard work of growth instead of the easy work of complaining. You also have to pay attention to your body. Your body speaks a language of its own. Anxiety, tension, fatigue, restlessness. These are messages. They're telling you that something is off, that you're out of alignment, that you're ignoring what really matters. But too often, people numb these feelings with distractions, with substances, with endless business. Treat the symptoms instead of hearing the message. Real toughness means sitting with that discomfort long enough to ask, what is this telling me about how I'm living? Relationships are another way the universe speaks. Who you attract, who you chase, who drains you, who supports you. Patterns reveal your beliefs about yourself, your boundaries, your fears. When you keep ending up with people who don't respect you, not just about them, it's about what you're willing to tolerate. When you feel energized around certain people, that's guidance too. The universe is constantly showing you who deserves space in your life and who doesn't. But you have to listen. Silence is essential for listening. You can't hear subtle truths in constant noise. You need time away from distraction, away from scrolling, away from filling every second with stimulation. In silence, you meet yourself. You hear your intuition. You recognize truths you've been avoiding. Why people fear silence? It forces them to face what they really feel. But that's exactly why you need it. Because in that space, you'll hear what you need to do next. Listening isn't weakness. Wisdom. It's strategy. It's what allows you to move intentionally instead of reactively. It's what stops you from repeating the same mistakes. It's what helps you see through lies, both from others and from yourself. When you become someone who listens deeply to your body, your intuition, your experiences, you can't be easily fooled or broken. So learn to ask, life trying to tell me right now? What lesson keeps repeating? What truth am I ignoring? What does my discomfort want me to see? When you begin to listen, really listen, you discover you were never lost. You just needed to quiet down enough to hear the guidance that's been there all along. That's how you build true mental toughness. Not by resisting life's lessons, but by welcoming them. The universe speaks. Your only job is to listen. Sometimes the greatest strength you can ever develop is the ability to be silent. Not empty, not passive, but aware. The universe is always speaking to you. Not in the noise. It's not in the rush. It's in the stillness, the repetition, the discomfort, and the moments you call coincidence. If you keep missing the same signs, facing the same setbacks, or walking in circles, it's not because you're unlucky. It's because you're not listening. Listening takes courage. It demands presence. And most of all, requires humility, the kind that allows you to accept that maybe life has been trying to guide you all along. Everyone wants clarity. Everyone wants peace. Everyone wants direction. But few are willing to listen deeply enough to receive them. We fill our days with distractions and our minds with noise. We seek validation from people, chase pleasure, and run from silence. But clarity doesn't come from more talking. Peace doesn't come from louder opinions. Direction doesn't come from external approval. These things are found within. And the universe keeps pointing the way. Your only task is to quiet yourself enough to follow. The signs are everywhere. That job you lost, that person who betrayed you, that opportunity that slipped away, you called it failure. But what if it was redirection? What if the universe was removing what no longer served your growth? What if the delay was protection? What if the pain was a doorway to deeper truth? Mental toughness begins when you stop blaming life and start asking better questions. Why did this happen to me? Becomes, what is this trying to show me? That shift in perspective, that's where strength is born. If you keep feeling drained by the same people, not just a social issue, it's guidance. If your body is screaming through anxiety or fatigue, it's not just stress, it's a warning. If you're restless in a situation that looks fine on the outside, that's not weakness, it's your inner self demanding alignment. The universe doesn't shout, it whispers. And those whispers come through repeated patterns, gut feelings, inner resistance, and quiet nudges. If you keep ignoring them, you invite louder consequences. Listening early is wisdom. Ignoring it is struggle. The world will always try to pull you away from your intuition. It will reward the loud, the reactive, and elevate the busy. But your power lies in stillness, in listening, in being so in tune with what's right for you that no external opinion can sway you. That's what real mental toughness looks like. It's not armor on the outside, it's awareness on the inside. You don't need to react to everything. You don't need to explain yourself to everyone. You need to trust that the universe is working with you, not against you, and that everything is unfolding with purpose, even the setbacks. But listening is not passive. It's a discipline, an active choice to stop talking, stop assuming, and stop rushing long enough to observe, to feel, to reflect, and then to act, not from emotion, but from clarity. You start noticing how your body responds to certain environments. You start recognizing how your energy shifts around certain people. You start sensing when something is aligned, even if it's not logical, and when something is wrong, even if it looks perfect on paper. That's the gift of listening. It sharpens your instincts, strengthens your decisions, and saves you from avoidable pain. So ask yourself, what have I been ignoring? What patterns are trying to get my attention? Where have I silenced my intuition to keep the peace, to fit in, or to avoid discomfort? What if that quiet feeling inside me was never confusion, but unlistened truth? Life is always speaking. The question is, are you grounded enough to hear it? You don't need a louder world. You need a quieter mind. You don't need to search harder. You need to see what's already here. The universe doesn't use words. It uses moments, repetition, emotion, energy. Your job is not to force meaning into your life. Your job is to listen and let meaning rise. Because once you learn how to listen, not just hear, but truly listen, your life changes. You stop repeating old cycles. You stop chasing what doesn't belong. You stop running from what's real. And in that silence, you finally meet the version of yourself you were always meant to be. So now the question is no longer whether the universe is speaking to you. It is whether you will choose to listen. Life has always tried to guide you. It never stopped sending you signs. Even in your hardest moments, it wasn't trying to punish you, it was trying to wake you up. The closed doors you mourned were protection. The painful lessons were instructions. The repeated patterns were your syllabus for growth. But you have to be willing to see them that way. Most people won't. They'll keep running from discomfort, numbing pain, blaming others, and demanding that life change without ever changing themselves. That is the easy way, but it's also the way of stagnation. If you want to rise above, if you want to become someone unshakable, you have to do what most won't. You have to get quiet. You have to listen deeply. Even when what you hear challenges you, scares you, or demands you grow. Listening is an act of humility. It means admitting that you don't have all the answers. It means accepting that life knows things you don't. It means respecting that your intuition has wisdom that logic alone can't explain. It means pausing before reacting, reflecting before speaking, and observing before deciding. It's not weakness to listen. It's the ultimate strength. Because when you listen, you learn. When you learn, you adapt. And when you adapt, you become impossible to defeat. Real mental toughness is not about forcing outcomes. It's about understanding the flow of things so you can move in harmony with them. Knowing when to act boldly and when to wait patiently. It's recognizing that timing matters as much as effort, and that sometimes the universe's no is simply not yet, or not this way. The tough mind knows that failure isn't the end, it's data. That rejection isn't humiliation, it's redirection. Comfort isn't punishment, it's a signal to pay attention. When you truly listen, you stop taking things so personally. You see setbacks not as insults, but as lessons. Difficult people not as enemies, but as teachers. You see pain not as a verdict against you, but as a call to heal and evolve. And you realize that nothing in life is random. Everything is shaping you, refining you, and guiding you toward the person you're meant to become. But listening is not passive. It demands action. Once you hear the truth, you can't pretend you didn't. You can't keep repeating the same destructive habits and call it fate. You can't blame everyone else for the patterns you're unwilling to break. To listen fully is to be brave enough to change. Means setting boundaries you once avoided. Walking away from what no longer serves you. Stepping into opportunities even when you're afraid. It means trusting that voice inside you, even if no one else understands. That is the path of mental toughness. Not rigid control over life, but flexible awareness within it. Not loud certainty in all things, quiet confidence in your ability to respond to anything. It's about being so tuned in that you don't need to force your will on the world, because you know how to move with it. So when you find yourself lost, stop and listen. When you're hurt, listen. When life feels unfair, listen. Ask, what is this trying to show me? Where is this pointing me? What truth have I been ignoring? The universe speaks in the language of experience. It teaches through repetition. It guides through feeling. And the moment you choose to listen, you start to see that you were never alone, never abandoned, never unsupported. You were simply being taught.